Most haunted places in Alabama. Uss Alabama and Mobile. The USS Alabama BB-60 sits in its final resting place in Mobile, Alabama, and it's alleged to serve as a home to a variety of ghostly entities. The 680-foot-long ship is a military attraction that sees many visitors every year, and many of these visitors have reported paranormal activity and unexplained events. The vast majority of the activity is attributed to the deaths of 2 men during the construction of the mighty ship. The vessel was completed in 1942 and served for 3 years without any fatalities from enemy fire. However, ironically, there were numerous deaths caused by friendly fire. One of the gun's safety features that should have prevented turrets from firing upon each other is said to have failed, causing the deaths of 8 men. Visitors to the USS Alabama have reported hearing footsteps coming towards them when nobody is there, and there have been apparitions spotted in the officers' quarters and the cook's galley. Those on board late at night have described hearing popping and tapping noises in the bulkheads, and solid steel hatches have also been known to slam shut on their own. Visitors say that they often feel as though they are being watched. Women, in particular, feel uneasy with one lady having her earrings tugged as she passed the sleeping quarters. Old Cahawba and Orville. The ghost town of Old Cahawba consists of just a handful of properties, 2 buildings, a couple of cemeteries, and dozens of ghost stories. Although once the capital of Alabama, most of the homes and businesses had been dismantled by 1876, and in 1989 the town was unincorporated. Today it is maintained as a historical site. In terms of the resident spooks, visitors and staff have reported disembodied voices and the sounds of children laughing. Fort Morgan. If you're looking to escape the coastal bliss of Orange Beach and find a thrill, be sure to visit Fort Morgan. Just 40 minutes from Orange Beach, it is one of the most unique haunted places to visit in Alabama. The structure was completed in 1834 and used as Mobile's main line of defense during the Civil War. The whole place feels like it belongs in a different era. The building was in use by soldiers for a little over a century, so it's no surprise the old barracks are said to be the most haunted spaces in the fort. Visitors have claimed to see orbs in photos, hear disembodied footsteps, and even felt the touch of cold fingertips. Even though it was mostly men who lived and worked at the fort, the most commonly seen apparition is that of a young woman who was attacked during the 1800s and traverses the grounds still searching for her attacker. Boyington Oak and Mobile. When you think of haunted places, the ones that are likely to spring to mind are abandoned hospitals, prisons, and the like. It's unlikely you would think of a tree. However, no list of haunted hotspots around Alabama would be complete without mentioning the Boyington Oak and Mobile. This southern live oak is said to have grown from Charles Boyington's grave in a potter's field close to the Church Street graveyard. The story goes that when Boyington was tried and then subsequently executed for murdering his friend Nathaniel Frost in 1835, he stated that when they buried him, a tree would spring forth from his grave as proof of his innocence. It did just that. There are claims that Boyington's spirit can be seen from time to time sitting under his tree. Bear Creek Swamp in Prattville, Alabama. Swamps are usually pretty creepy at the best of times, but Bear Creek Swamp is even more so, given many weird stories that have been going around about it. Among the various spooky tales are sightings of phantom cars, strange orbs of lights, and a 4-foot-tall apparition that appears in front of vehicles. Bear Creek Swamp is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a mother in search of her lost child. There is even an urban legend that she will attack you if you say "we have your baby" 3 times. Few people relish the thought of driving through the area after dark. Sweetwater Mansion, Florence. Sweetwater Mansion was designed by war veteran General John Brahan, who owned over 4,000 acres of land in Alabama. It was named after the nearby creek and was first occupied by the general's son-in-law, Robert Patton. Over the years, the mansion's basement has served as a Civil War hospital and as a county jail. There are also rumors that at one time, someone who lived there used one of the upper rooms to practice dark magic. As you might expect, based on some of the history, Sweetwater Mansion is considered among the most haunted places in Alabama. There are lots of tales of paranormal activity linked to the mansion. There have been many different apparitions reported on the grounds, and one of the caretakers claims to have seen a casket containing the body of a Confederate soldier in one of the downstairs rooms, only for it to disappear. This would make a great deal of sense since General Patton's funeral was held in the home, and his body would have been laid out in its coffin for viewing. There is also a room in the property where female visitors are regularly locked inside. One former caretaker, Ms. Emmett Letty Regan, was so scared after being locked in there that she lived in just 2 rooms for the rest of the time she worked there. Another strange thing about Sweetwater Mansion is the mysterious secret room. This small room with no door can only be accessed via a small interior window. It has been suggested that 2 sons of a former owner were buried under the floor of this secret room. Maple Hill Cemetery in Huntsville. One of the most well-known haunted places to visit in Huntsville, Maple Hill Cemetery is sure to raise the hair on anyone's arms. For years it's been considered one of the most haunted places in Alabama. It was founded in 1822. It is the oldest and largest burial ground in the state, and with such a long history it's no wonder it has since expanded from its original 2 acres to 100 acres where over 80,000 souls have found their resting place, although not all rest in peace. Take some time to walk through the hallowed grounds or enjoy a guided walking tour and let an expert tell you of some of the creepier ghostly encounters. Make sure to pay your respects to Mary Bibb, a much-beloved ghost who will reply to your knock on her mausoleum's walls with the gentle creak of the rocking chair buried with her inside. And don't forget to stop by Maple Hill Park, otherwise known as the Dead Children's Playground. Nicknamed so because many visitors have seen the children buried nearby playing at the park once the sun goes down. Even if you don't catch a glimpse of them, you'll likely hear their laughter carried by the evening wind. Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham. If you are a fan of the paranormal, then it is likely that you have already heard of Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama. There is so much activity here that the local police force is frequently called to deal with unexplained events. Sometimes they are relatively minor, but they can include physical harm at other times. The activity seems to peak during September and October, which leads many to suggest that reports are just Halloween hoaxes. However, others insist that the activity is authentic and that Sloss Furnaces has creepy stuff happening all year round. The most well-known ghost linked to Sloss Furnaces is probably James Slide Wormwood, a former foreman at the furnaces who died there in 1906 when he fell in a pool of molten iron ore. Ever since his fellow workers complained about seeing and feeling his presence. In 1926 a night watchman was injured when an unseen force pushed him from behind, and a voice shouted at him to get back to work. In 1947, 3 supervisors were found knocked out on the boiler room floor. All 3 reported being approached by an angry man with horrific burns who demanded that they return to work. In 1971, another night watchman encountered what he describes as a half-man, half-demon who attempted to push him up the stairs. Samuel Blumenthal, the night watchman in question, refused to go upstairs, which prompted the entity to begin beating him. When Samuel was examined later, he was found to have severe burns where the blows had fallen. While James Slag Wormwood is the most prominent ghost at Sloss Furnaces, ruling the building with the same iron fist that he did in life, he is by no means the only ghost here. An estimated 47 men lost their lives, and hundreds more were severely injured. The working conditions here were horrific, and Wormwood would not allow his workers breaks or time off. There is some debate about whether this slave-driving tyrant did slip and fall, or if disgruntled workers, either living or dead, pushed him. The Redmont Hotel. Don't let the newly renovated and sleek interior of the Redmont Hotel fool you. The property has always been known as one of the oldest and most haunted places in Birmingham. First opened in 1925, the Redmont was built in the heyday of the 1920s and was purchased by Mr. Clifford Stiles in the 1940s, who is now one of the friendly hotel haunts. Those who stay overnight claim to experience doors that open and close on their own, baggage changing places of its own accord, furniture being moved around, and apparitions by Mr. Stiles' spirit. Listed on the National Register for Historic Places, stay a night at the renovated hotel to see if a fresh coat of paint was enough to scare away the ghosts at one of the most haunted places in Alabama, Lucas Tavern. If you are looking for a friendly ghost experience, which not all haunted places in Alabama can offer, then we recommend taking a tour of Lucas Tavern in Montgomery. The tavern is part of Old Alabama Town, a collection of historic buildings that are preserved so visitors can experience living in the state during the 19th century. Eliza Lucas, the friendly neighborhood ghost and original proprietor of the tavern, likes to provide visitors with an extra dose of authenticity and has been known to appear dressed in Victorian dress at the front porch and wave as people pass by. She also supervises committee meetings and likes to remind Old Alabama Town Committee members to behave like proper Southern ladies and gentlemen. Even staff members have to watch what they say, as she's been known to take doors off their hinges if they're not minding their own business. King-Criswell-Garrett Mansion in Monroe County, Alabama. The King-Criswell plantation was built in Monroe County by William King. Construction began in the late 1850s on a nearby site at Packer's Bend. According to rural southwest Alabama, org, the outbreak of the Civil War scaled back plans for the Grand Mansion, although it is still said to have the broadest facade of any plantation home in Alabama. A team from the Travel Channel show The Dead Files went to the home after its owner at the time reported she feared for her life after being attacked by an evil entity.